Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you stopping by again and joining me. My name is Sarah Bays and I am a major depressive. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about 5 things that you can do to help someone who is going through a major depressive episode. Now, of course, these are all informed just by my experience and personal study. I am not a clinician at all. I don't have any formal training in psychotherapy or psychiatry. If you need help, definitely you want to seek that out. There's a lot of different opportunities there in person as well, where you're living, and online. Better Help is a really great resource that I've heard a lot about, recommended by several different psychotherapists and psychiatrists. So that might be something that you want to check into if you feel like you need that. I'll link it below in the description box. So, number one thing that you can do to help somebody who is going through a major depressive episode is don't leave us alone. We're going to want you to leave us alone. Isolation is a big symptom of depression and a big sign of depression. We don't want to be around people because we feel like nobody can understand us. We also feel like it's expending too much energy. But we really do need people around us, even if you're just sitting next to us, putting your arm around us, just talking to us. Sometimes we like to hear somebody reading to us, just to get us outside of our own thoughts, because we definitely struggle with rumination and racing thoughts. Topic for another film. So yeah, be there for us. Likely if we have responsibilities like children or a family or even work or pets, we're going to need help with that too. So if you come by and you say, you know what, today I'm going to make your family dinner, you don't have to worry about it. Or I'm going to come over and let your dogs out for you, play with them for a little bit so you don't have to worry about it. Even if you just do it, once or twice now and then kind of a thing. You can't be there all the time. We don't want to be there all the time because that would just enable more of the isolation. But be there with us and be there for us, but also be there with us. Number 2, another thing that you can do to help somebody who's going through a major depressive episode is listen. Sometimes it's the most valuable thing that we can have. And you'll find that when you're talking with somebody who has major depression, who's going through an episode, they just talk about the same things over and over and over and over again if we're talking, because what happens is we have these thoughts that have to get out somehow. And many of us are familiar with talk therapy, and that's part of why it's so helpful. But if you have therapy once a week for an hour, that's not going to nearly be enough, because you're constantly having ruminations and thoughts while you're driving, while you're sleeping. Sometimes you'll have nightmares and thoughts about it. You just can't get away from your own thoughts. And so listen, because we're probably going to need you to listen dozens of times about the same thing. And it's very important, and it really does help, and it's so worth it. Even if you can't give feedback, or even if all you can say is, that must be so difficult, or whatever, be there and listen. If you can, when you can, as often as you can, even when it's frustrating. And don't remind us that it's frustrating, because we already know. Number 3, when you give advice, sometimes one of the most important things you can do for somebody in a major depressive episode is to support them. So let your advice be supportive in every way. We have therapists and other people to tell us, the hard truth, and sometimes we will need it from you, but supporting us and trying to understand, trying to empathize, trying to sympathize, even if you can't empathize, goes a long way, because we are full of shame. We already feel so terrible about ourselves, and then also what we're going through, because we know how hard it is for us and other people. Depression is very selfish. So be supportive in what you say. So if I say, I feel like absolute crap today, you can say, I know that must be really difficult. It's got to be hard to constantly feel that way for all this time. Is there anything that might make you feel better? Or, what kind of thoughts are you having? Just sort of listen. And if we say, I need your help, what would be good to say is, how can I help you? Okay. And if we say, I don't know, suggest things like, well, would it be helpful for you to talk about it? Would it be helpful for me to ask you questions to prompt some thoughts? Would it be helpful for me to write down things, journal for you? Would it be helpful for me to, do your errands for you? Would it be helpful for me to, sit here and hold your hand? Would it be helpful for me to find you some comedy on TV to watch? Ask questions, because it also really does help us get out of our own thoughts and our own selves. So that's a big one. When you're giving advice, don't assume that you know what to do. Be supportive. Ask questions. And even if you do know what to do, try not to be heavy-handed about it. I know it's difficult, but it's true. Okay, fourth thing that you can do to help somebody in a major depressive episode is to make sure that when you are talking with them, that you give truth. Don't just fill our heads with stuff. We need truth, we need answers, but we don't always get that, and most people don't always have that, and we don't expect that from you. We would love it, but we understand that that's not likely. However, we're going to say it again and again and again and again. I need to know what's wrong with me, all this other stuff. Even if you have to keep saying the same thing over and over again, just always be honest, and share truth. And sometimes that might mean like writing down positive affirmations about us on a note card, or maybe sending a card in the mail and just putting down things. But don't make it up. Like, don't say, if I say to myself or to somebody, I'm so ugly, I can't stand myself, on and on and on. Don't say, no, you're not. Oh, no, you're a very pretty woman. We need details, because we're not going to believe it, especially if it's coming from someone who we know loves us, because, you're not going to say anything critical of us, usually, that critical. So, maybe say something like, you know what, Sarah, that's baloney. You have always been a very attractive person. You've never had a hard time with, having people interested in you, or you have really great skin. You have, maybe someone has beautiful hair, or, you take very good care of yourself, or, once this is over, you're going to be back to yourself, and those thoughts won't be there. This isn't how you felt beforehand. Those kinds of things. Be truthful, but don't offer platitudes, because platitudes make us mad. They don't go anywhere for us, and they just feel like people are filling us with crap because they don't take it seriously. We also know that that's not the intention, but that's how it comes across, and that doesn't help. Number 5 thing that you can do to help somebody who's in a major depressive episode is be hospitable. This sort of encompasses everything else that we just spoke about, but hospitality is actually something that is proven to go a long way when it comes to depression. So things like, if somebody's down and maybe they're coming to your house for a dinner party, maybe just go the extra mile for hospitality for all of them, or maybe the guests that you have, or maybe you have somebody over for coffee and you use the good china. Maybe you say, hey, come on over and let's get dressed and we're going to go out somewhere. And maybe you do their makeup for them, or maybe you pick up some fresh fruit at the store and you get an extra few pieces for them and take it to them, or maybe you come over to their house and you clean something for them, or you bring them a small token gift or something. I'm not the best at hospitality, but I have some good friends who really are, and I think taking seriously when they come to your house or when you go out with them, taking yourself seriously, looking good, making them feel like they're with somebody who values themselves, which we hope that you do, helps the other person feel like they're valued too. And that goes a long way to helping somebody who's depressed feel better about themselves, because you are somebody who we value. And if you value yourself and we value you, then we feel like we're more valued, because somebody who is confident and has a strong self-esteem is treating us so well, then that makes us feel better about ourselves. Now, in truth, that makes everybody feel better about themselves all the time, whether it's hospitality or some other things. We all feel better about ourselves when we're treated well, right? That's normal and it's healthy. But for people in a position like me who already, when we're going through something, who already feel so low about ourselves, going a small bit ahead or above and beyond is really good for us. I know it's hard. All these things that I've mentioned sound extremely selfish and sound extremely, entitled, but we always know that when we're going through something in our lives, we don't deserve people to do this. We already feel like that. So when somebody just does it and doesn't make a deal out of the fact that it's done because we're going through a depressive episode, makes us feel so much more deserving. And these things are just things that can help people. I'm not saying that these are things that you should do or you must do or we deserve it. Not at all. I'm just saying these are some options for things that can help if you're in a position to help or to want to help and not know how you can help. These are 5 things that can make a big difference. So if you have some other suggestions or have had other experiences with these things or other things, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear more. I will compile a list eventually and probably put it up on my blog. If you'd like to check out more content, I do have a blog. It's at alterandego.wordpress.com. I'll leave a link below, and I'll also leave the link for BetterHelp, the therapy option online, down in the description box as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm really enjoying doing these videos, and I hope that you're enjoying them too. Please let me know how I can make them better. Eventually I will have a more interesting background and a better setup here, but for now this is what we've got, so this is what we're going to do. Thank you for watching again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday.